When you talked about, you have your stages of creativity, the creative process, and we can talk about all of them. There's the preparation, the incubation, the insight, the evaluation, the elaboration. But one that struck me that I'm seeing with meetings and event planners who you and I work with all the time are, they've always been strategic, but it requires a new way, a new approach, a different approach where, the strategy is you're curating conversations, whether it's yoga or sustainability or connecting with the local community. I'm seeing less time on stage, less time in ballrooms, more time out there. But a lot of that strategy happens during what you talk about, the 5 stages. And talk about the quiet time and how important that is in the preparation before the creative process and then strategies are implemented.
Yeah, so if we take, for example, an event, you're planning a conference or a meeting or an event of some sort, and we have these 5 stages. So the first stage is what we call the preparation stage. So this is when you're doing your site visits and you're making considerations as to who's going to do the catering, and maybe think about the themes of the event, the sub-themes of the event. So all that kind of stuff goes on. And really that stage is about just absorbing as much information as possible, like sucking all that information in. And then the mistake that many people make is immediately trying to jump into coming up with the solutions and making things happen. When all the studies show, we actually need to have this kind of incubation stage, this middle kind of period, which is just put things to the bottom of the drawer for a few days, a few weeks. Just let your mind go somewhere else. Your brain will continue working on it and thinking through it. And often it will start to find linkages between these things. And maybe there was a sub-theme or something you hadn't really kind of thought of before as well. Now, the downside of post-pandemic is events are happening in a much shorter time span.
Sure.
It used to be you'd have like a year planning an event or something.
Yeah.
Now it's, a few months is nice. And so can be a little bit more challenging, but I still advise people to try and do that and just take a step back. If you can, like go into a different environment, physical environment, go walking. If you're near a beach, like I know like you're near some like beautiful beaches. So just get out of your usual space and just put things to the back of your mind. Your brain will continue sorting and sifting. And there was a great technique I think can also be quite useful for this. They teach at West Point Military Academy in the States called preloading. And this is basically a technique where what they advise you to do is about 2 hours before you go to sleep at night, get used to asking yourself an open-ended question. What is the one thing I can do to increase the chances of people making great connections at my event? What is the one thing I can do to ensure that people want to book like straight away to come back to the event the following year? And just like about 2 hours before you go to sleep at night, start asking yourself these open-ended questions. And very often what you'll find is by putting that to the back of your mind, you wake up in the morning, next morning, those ideas, they kind of come to you a little bit easier, because basically what's going on there is overnight, in the morning, you're kind of focused, you're unwound. So alpha waves are rippling through your brain, directing your attention inwards to remote associations that emanate from the right hemisphere. Also, the part of the brain that says that's a stupid idea that hasn't woken up yet. So Thomas Edison, I know you're a New Jersey guy from Edison, and
I sure am.
Thomas Edison once said,
near there. Yeah.
Yeah. So he said, never go to sleep without a request to your subconscious. Never go to sleep without a request to your subconscious. So do all that research, but then put things back, let your subconscious do the work, and you'll be kind of intrigued as to maybe new ideas, new ways of seeing things, new ways of solving this. Maybe it's a budgeting problem, for example, or you want this great speaker, but they're just a little bit over your budget range. Maybe if I've got this other sponsor involved, maybe we did this other thing that could open up the possibility. Or maybe there's a different budget I can access as well to get that person in.
I think that preloading is a great idea, and it's doesn't cost anything. Just a little bit of time, and energy.